Hello there! Welcome to first Coco livestream. I welcome all of you in the chat and I hope this will be also a good video on YouTube. So today we'll try to recreate this UI created in the last video. Of course, link in the description. So the idea is to create a brand new project. I have it here. And to create everything from scratch. I will be listening you on the chat, so I have chat open of course, and if you have any suggestions to maybe modify something in this layout or to add something, I'll be looking at that. So yeah, we'll try to come up with a nice idea how to build everything and maybe suit your needs if you have any special requests. Okay, so let's start with this empty project. Here I have it here. Okay, so of course, every time we need to start with a new canvas where we'll place all UI elements. You can just right click here in the hierarchy and UI create new canvas. In this case, I will just create a new image. And now double click on the canvas. As you can see, while creating a new image, you already have a new canvas and new event system, which is needed for all UI events. And now you can see that this is our small image. I will go to the game tab and instead of the free aspect, I will change that to the mobile. So in this case, it's 9:16 aspect ratio, which many of the phones nowadays has. Many phones are even taller, so okay. We'll do something like this, that this image, I will call it safe area. This image will contain all elements in the scene, so we will resize it to the whole screen, but instead of doing that, you can use these anchor presets, and while holding Alt or Option key, click this double stretch option. Okay, now everything looks fine, I guess. So let's start with adding some elements. If we look at this previous project, I have this small alien character and the ground, this platform. This of course is not a game itself, this is just very basic UI elements. So yeah, let's create them. Here I will right click on the safe area, UI, image. Maybe I will change safe area to something a bit more darker to make a contrast, okay? So here, image. Let's select something like, okay, of course we don't have any graphics. In the description of this live stream and video, you can find a set of graphics that I will be using in this live stream. They all came, of course, from the Kenney, but I modified them a bit, like this floor, for example. It's a bit modified. So yeah, feel free to use them, of course. So I will just take all of them and move them to the graphics folder in our project. Okay, great. So now I can set image to the alien. Okay, so the thing is that I haven't done that yet. Each of these graphics are a bit higher resolution than normal Kenney assets. I make this to look good on the video because I have a retina display. So to do that, to make them, higher density, let's call it, just select all of the assets without the background in this case, and make sure that here in pixels per unit to select 200, to type 200 pixels per unit. Okay, let's apply. And now if I will set native size to this image, it will be smaller, but it will be much sharper on better displays. Okay. I have one question. Yes, this is my first live stream on this channel. Before there were only videos, so I'm experimenting a bit and hope it looks fine for you. Okay, now let's move this character. I will call it character, okay, here. And now let's go and create ground below it. Okay, here, safe area, and once more right click, UI, image, and this time we'll create a floor. So the thing with the floor is that this asset has basically two tiles, the top tile and the ground tile, everything below it. But if you will resize it, you can see that everything is stretched, and we don't want to do that. We like to have some kind of tiling. Yes, so to do that, go here in the assets to our floor asset, floor graphic, and open Sprite Editor. Sprite Editor is a great tool that allows you to, for example, split one sprite into multiple one. But in this case, we'll be creating a border. It's useful for creating buttons, for example, but in this case, we'll just tell Unity that the top should always stay the same, but the bottom part of this image should be stretched to fill the entire space. Okay, so I will move it down like that. In this case, you can see that I like to have even half of this image, and click apply. To make changes, we need here in the inspector specify that this is not a simple image type, but it's tiled. And now you can see that, something like that, that everything looks better, but it's too small for me, so we can use this pixels per unit multiply, and I will just type 0.5 to make it 2 times smaller, 2 times bigger in this case. Okay, it looks much better. As you can see, it resizes, and in this case we also should add anchor preset like this to make it stretch to the phone width. Okay, that's nice. And the last thing I will add will be a platform. Platform is straightforward. Whoops, I duplicated that. Platform is straightforward, just a simple element like here. Okay, and if we run the game, open the game, it looks nice. Okay, now time for some buttons and UI. So maybe I will quickly call it like floor and platform. And now time for the button. So of course, right click, UI. We'll start with the image, that will be much easier. I will resize this image to more buttony size, let's call it, like that. And set its graphic to button. This is the same story like with the floor, so it's all stretched right now, but if we go to the button and click Sprite Editor, we can modify the borders of this image. So in this case, I like to have borders that the green line will tell which part of the image should stay the same and which one can be stretched. So in this case, the middle will be stretched and the border will stay the same. Click apply, go to our button and change it to sliced this time. Because if it would be tiled, everything inside of it will be tiled, but we only need to have sliced, so the middle part will be stretched and the other one will not. Okay, so this is our button. To make borders a little bit bigger, we can modify this pixels per unit one more time. Maybe I will just put 0.5 like before. Okay, that looks much better. And the last thing, we can modify its color. So maybe let's go with the yellow one, it looks nice. Okay, quickly modify it, button, and let's add text. Text, change its font, change text to button, color to white, and let's resize it to the whole button size. So instead of doing something like that, we can just click on this anchor presets, and while holding Alt or Option key, click this double stretch option, which will stretch it to the whole area of the button. Okay, great. Let's center it, change its size to 40 maybe, or even 50. Okay, and yeah, that should work. If I will go to the game view now, we have this nice button. Maybe I will change the font size to something a little bit bigger, and I can now see that there is this small problem with the text not being centered vertically. That's because the button have this I don't know, shadow at the bottom. I will just move text a bit up. Okay, that looks nice now. Okay, here is our button. I will duplicate it, move it down, call it button 2, and also change its text to jump like in the previous video. We can also modify its color. I think the buttons are a bit too big right now, so I will change that. Let's select both of them and simply stretch them. Okay, looks much better. Of course, you can modify it a lot by changing font size, colors, textures. It's everything up to you. We are just experimenting here. Okay, so if we would look at the previous project right now, you can see that we already prepared all this floor and character, these two buttons, but we are lacking the top and the bottom part of our mobile screen. I think we should start with the top part. Here we'll create some kind of hearts and maybe coins counter. So I will start with creating a game object that will be empty. Just right click here on our safe area and click create empty. That's because we like to have some things inside of it aligned, so they will be positioned at the correct place in our scene. Okay, so I will call it top elements, okay, and inside of it let's right click once more, create empty, and let's call it hearts. Resize it like that, and we'll work on that later. Okay, so here inside of this game object we like to have some hearts. Yep. So once more, just right click on the hearts, UI, and this time image, because we'll create a first heart. Change source image to heart, set native size, and this time I will make it a bit bigger because it's too small for our scene, and move it here. So the thing is that we can have, of course, multiple hearts like that, but we don't like to align them manually. Yes, imagine if you have a game that adds these hearts whenever player unlocks something, for example. That would be a pain to make them aligned manually. So we can use this great tool called horizontal layout. So I will click on the hearts parent. In this case, it's game object called hearts, and click add component. Here we'd like to search for horizontal layout group. It's a great tool to help you create basically any UI layout. Okay, let's press it, and you can already see that we have aligned hearts. We can of course modify it. So the first thing I will do is to change, instead of the upper left, to make it middle left. That way hearts will be aligned here in the middle. Okay, and then you see this behavior that hearts try to basically occupy every space they can. So we don't want to do that. So here in the child force expand, click uncheck width. That way hearts will be next to each other, and if it's too close for you, here in the spacing you can modify it to make them, for example, 8 pixels apart or 16. That looks much better. Okay, the last part about horizontal layout group, and of course that applies to a vertical layout group, grid layout group, there are a lot of them. Here we like to add some padding or margin maybe. So if you open the game, you can see that this left heart is a bit too close to the screen edge. So I will just here in the padding left add some value like 32. Much better. Okay, I think that's it. Then we'll maybe quickly create coin counter like in the previous project. So let's create, you know what, let's duplicate our hearts, rename it to coin counter and move it to the right this time. As you remembered, we set to align these hearts to the middle left, but this time we like to align them to the right. So here in the inspector, child alignment, click middle right. It may be a bit confusing because we have a lot of hearts here, but now all the hearts are aligned to the right side of this game object. That's great. So this time, instead of 3 hearts, I will remove 2 of them. This time we'll like to change heart to coin. Set native size because it's not oval right now. Make it a bit bigger. And as a second object, we like to add text. So let's call it maybe 30 coins like that. White, of course, change font and make it bigger. As you can already see, it's a great thing that we are using layout here, because we can now click the coin counter here in the hierarchy and click here that force child expand, control child size and check width. After checking that, Unity will try to resize it to take the least amount of space possible. So here, for example, it also stretched image a bit. So let's do it like that. And text, let's align it to the middle. Okay. And we, of course, need to add one more thing because it's a bit too close to the screen border. So let's add some padding from the right side. Okay, I think that looks great already. So just to re-enable our hearts, this is our game layout currently. You know what, I will very quickly change the size of these hearts because they are definitely too big. Something like that. Okay. This is our layout. So hearts and coins. So take a look at the responsiveness of this app for a second. So we've been building that in the mobile 9:16 aspect ratio all the time. But what will happen if we'll, for example, change that to some kind of different aspect ratio, like 9 to 9 to 20. You can see that hearts and coins are now cutted. That's because they stayed in the same place. So let's fix that. I will change back to the mobile and go here to the top elements, As you can see, they are currently aligned to the center. Instead of that, we like to make them stretching to the phone width. So in this case, I will select this option, which is called top stretch. So it will try to stay to the right and left side of the screen, but will be at the top. Yes. I'm asked by the Michael on the chat what happens when the coin count overflows. So what's great in the setup we've created is that if we will now change the text, so for example 300, the coin will be moved automatically. And that's because of our horizontal layout group, which tries to keep all elements next to each other. So that's a great part, because if we would do it manually, we would have some problems. Okay, so we already set this top elements, but still, if we would change the aspect ratio, we have problems with hearts and coins. That's because our hearts game object is not stick to the left side. So here in the anchor presets, we can just tell it to stick to the left side, and here in the coin counter, we can tell it to stick to the right side. And now, finally, if we would change the aspect ratio, everything resizes properly. What's more, here with the buttons, we have the same problem, that if we have a narrow display, they are cutted. So once again, let's select both buttons. Up. And here in the presets manager, let's, instead of center, because they are currently centered, so if the screen is narrower, they are still in the center, but we can change that to the middle stretch. That way, you can see here that you can specify how many pixels they should be stayed from the left side and from the right side. So let's change it to equal value. From the left side 60 and from the right side also 60. And now if we will change the aspect ratio, you can see that buttons are also responsive, which is great. Hello Dominic, great to see you here. Okay, so I think the last part we are missing right now is to add the buttons, because if you would check our previous video, you can see that we have here this button, let's call it button game object, with 3 buttons like shop, items, settings. So here we will also add exactly that. So here in our safe area, let's right click on it, UI, and create new image. This will be our image at the bottom, the white one. So I will just take it and move it like that to fill the bottom space of the our game scene. Remember that here in the anchor presets, it's a good idea to make that as a bottom stretch. So it will be stick to the bottom and will be stretching with the phone width. Remember to keep the left and right as a 0 to make that look much better. Okay, and now in this image I will call it bottom elements. Okay, here in this image we would like to add some buttons. So once more, the same way we did it with the hearts, I will use now a component called horizontal layout group. So once again, here in the bottom elements, click add component and select horizontal layout group. In fact, we don't have any elements to stretch right now, so I will quickly take one of our buttons, duplicate it by clicking Command D or Control D, and let's make this new button as a child of bottom elements. Okay, so this is our first button. I will modify it a little bit, so I will make it darker, smaller of course, and maybe I will change its pixels per unit to make this border a bit smaller, because okay, much better. So what happens if we would have multiple buttons? Something like that, and currently they will overflow. But we can easily fix that by going to the bottom elements and changing control child size. Control child size and check the width. And as you can see, that automatically resized all the buttons inside of it to fill the entire space. And in this case, you can even duplicate them even more, and you can see that all the buttons are trying to basically take the whole possible space. So that's great, and we only need to style it a bit. So here I will once more go to the bottom elements, and let's use this padding and spacing options. So padding from the left, let's say 16, from the right 16. Here we can also change the alignment. Change alignment. So instead of the upper left, we can change that to the middle center. That way all the buttons will be in the middle. And the last setting, the space between the buttons. So change spacing to something like 8 in this case. I think that looks okay. So right now we have 3 buttons. I will quickly change its text to something like items, shop, and I don't know what can we add else, something like settings. Settings may be a bit too long, but okay. So here it is. So now let's test it with our responsive settings. Let's change it to this resolution 9 to 20. I don't know if there's any phone that has resolution like that, but let's click it. And you can see that buttons at the bottom resize properly, everything at the top resizes properly. Yeah, everything looks okay, let's call it. I mean, it's not perfect, but I think it's good enough. It's pretty close to the last video. Okay, so we are basically almost finished right now. And do you have maybe other suggestions? What would you like to see in this UI? So maybe I will be able to quickly add it right now. Something like maybe some kind of UI at the top, some kind of pause menu button. I don't know. Maybe you have something you are currently working in your game and you don't know how to deal with that. So I'm open to any suggestions. Of course, remember that after this live stream, you will be able to download all the projects from this live stream and from the previous video I've created about device simulator in Unity on our Patreon, Coco Patreon link in the description. Okay. What if you, I have a question on the chat. What if you make the settings button a bit wider than the other buttons? Okay, so by default, this Unity layout system does not check the inside of the buttons. If I would have only text here, that will be much easier. To make the Michael suggestion, I would need to add another layout component inside of every one of these, so button will know what is the best size for it, and then the button bottom elements will be able to resize properly. But we can do a small workaround by clicking this button third, so settings, and we can add a new component. So here we can add new component called layout group. Layout group is great because sometimes you can override some kind of settings. So I can, for example, change the height of this button if I would need to. But here we have flexible width, so I can check that and type 2 here. And in this case, by default, each button has the equal width, but in this case, I just force this button to be larger by giving it some other value than 1. So I will maybe stick with 1.6, which is much better. Great idea. I see another one, adding images to buttons. Images in the button are the settings icon in the settings button. Okay, that's the great one. I already did that in my other video called Master UI Buttons in Unity, but we can try to quickly do that. So here I have a button. You know what? Maybe we'll add a key symbol to this button. So I don't know, maybe let's call it open chest. Okay, and next to this open chest text, I will add a new image. So as always, right click on the button, UI image, and let's set it to the key icon. It will be next to the open chest, and of course it's not a good idea to make it manually, because what happens if you like to change this text later? But you can do everything automatically using the same layout group we used in the bottom or at the top. That's up to you. So here in the bottom, we need to add component, horizontal layout group, our favorite one in this live stream, horizontal layout group. Whoa, a lot of things happen here, but that's strange. Okay, I will need to manually fix that first. Okay, so as you can see, right now, after adding this layout, horizontal layout group, the text is now first and the image is second. That's because in the hierarchy, that's the way we created it. So the text is first, image is second. So to fix that, just take this image and move it above text. Second thing to fix, click on the button, and instead of child alignment upper left, let's change it to middle. Oh, you can see that. Let's change that to the middle center. That way, both image and the text will be at the center, but we have still some problems with the layout. So the next thing will be to change control child size width and tick that. So now we have 1 second. Okay, yeah. You need to tick the control child size and untick child force expand. So while ticking control child size, you basically tell Unity to try to resize this element to the lowest possible value. Like open chest, you can literally see that we resize it to the bounds of the text, and the image the same way, but we can use layout element, as I told you before, just add it to the image and set preferred width as something larger, like 60 in this case. And now it looks much better. Basically, it's not resized. So the last step, I guess, will be clicking the button and adding some kind of spacing. So let's make 16 or maybe 24. Yeah, I think that's better. And we can also add some kind of padding from the button to center the text and the icon. Okay, I still believe there's some kind of issue with the scaling of this key, but yeah, I think that should be fine now. So yeah, that's the button with the icon and the text next to it. And of course, all of this is very responsive. So if I would change text to maybe use key, something like that, everything is live. Of course, the same with the button resizing. And yeah, so I would suggest you to basically check out my latest video with the where I create buttons in Unity UI, and you can learn even more there with some kind of button animations and so on. So yeah, I believe that will be all for this video. Hello Jeff, but I guess we're finishing unless you have any other ideas. But yeah, I guess that will be all. Thanks a lot everyone who checked out this my first live stream. I hope you were doing well. I invite all of you to my Discord server called Coco. Of course, link in the description, where you can find other community like everyone who is interested in PlayFab, in Unity UI and other. And yeah, that will be all. Thanks a lot. Leave some feedback in the comments if you like this kind of live videos, and hope to see you soon in other videos and on our Discord server. And of course, while we are at this end screen, thanks a lot to all patrons that are supporting this channel. And by the way, while the stream we have new patron, thanks a lot Dominic, you are not yet on this list, but thanks a lot, guy. Thanks a lot. Yeah, see you soon. Bye.